Well, good morning, everyone. Good morning. If I could invite you to take your seats, we're going to get started today. We've got an amazing day ahead of us, and we want to start it off in a great way. My name is Sarah Weber, and I'm with C3 Alliance, one of the conference hosts. I'll be one of your MCs throughout this conference, of course, sharing the role with our esteemed chair, Dallas Smith, the president of Nanwakolas Council, and my colleague, Logan Wong. First, I'd like to respectfully acknowledge that we are gathered on the traditional territories of the Nanaimo First Nation, and we recognize the enduring connection the Nanaimo people have to this land, and we express our gratitude for their stewardship over the generations. I'd like to thank West Fraser for sponsoring our nutrition break this morning, which really also helped us get off to a good start. And for those of you that were here last night, I'm sure you enjoyed it, and please tell your friends for next year. We had a really amazing reception last night with some cultural performances, and that was made possible by the sponsorship from Interjects. And then, of course, the beautiful Indigenous artwork you see with me on the stage and throughout the room is made possible by the BC Building Trades. So I just want to point out that those key sponsors that are really going to help make our next few days possible. And so today's program, it really brings together a lot of expertise across multiple sectors from many different nations. We work with a strong advisory program committee that tries to help develop this conference through an Indigenous lens. And so our real hope is through dialogue and knowledge sharing that we all come together to build some new relationships and keep moving forward. So I really encourage you to engage fully, make some new connections. I think this is our largest IROC. It's the 9th one, and I think we're already over at 530 people. So it's, we're really grateful for everyone that's come, and I know Dallas will share the same thoughts. So first of all, I guess I would like to make sure that we have a very brief safety share. And so in the case of an emergency, we will, our staff will stand up and provide some guidance, but we will exit in a calm way towards through the trade show to the glass safety share, or stairways, out onto the street, and the muster point is in front of the Great Canadian Casino. So just listen for further instructions if that does happen. Also, I'd just like to point out another housekeeping item is in the programs, we have a QR code here for Slido. So throughout the day, please do keep your phones out. We will be taking questions for our panelists through Slido. So you might want to have that ready so that when the burning question does come to your mind, you know how to enter it for our panelists. Now, I'd also like to acknowledge the many chiefs, elders, and government officials here in the room, and we'd like to know that your participation, taking the time out of your busy schedules to come here is greatly appreciated. And the highlight of this morning, I would like to invite Elder Lolly Good from the Nanaimo First Nation to provide an opening prayer and a conference blessing for us. So please join me in welcoming Elder Lolly.
Ait native, ait konasi lamnala. Good morning. It is good to see you all. I am honored to be invited back here to open up your event. And for some of you that weren't here in the last 2 years, I'm an elder from the Nanaimo community, and I have a protocol. I will go ahead with my protocol. And after the blessing, I'm going to be drumming and singing our Nanaimo traditional welcome song, also known as paddle song. I'll just go ahead with my protocol, and my language is Hulkaminum, and then I will translate English. Siemna Sohwan, Siemna Sietya, Siemna Shkwalakwa, Anthapet, Schauerte, Lollygutana, Juanita Math Nasquish, Tanis and Nanaimo, I Quamlo a Sea Schauerte. Nanaimo CME, Mostimo, Tlashata Mak U Chacha Tamach. Honored friends, I was born and raised Nanaimo, extended family route Sea Schauerte. Nanaimo Chief Mike Wise and Council invite you all to our sacred lands. I acknowledge worldwide all frontline workers who risk their lives on a daily basis in support of their city, town, and countries. Creator, protect them all and their families. As I recite this blessing, think of others. A sisat siem, haichka atanaquel, thichwam, lelamathot, atakikulas, ikaki, mostimo. Haichka atasatlans atanaquel, thichwam, we atslachen atalatems. Sisat siem thichwam, at watalhwas atanaquel, itamaxquel, stilatnamste. Creator, thank you for this day. Please look after those who are grieving and for those who are sick. Thank you for the food today. Please bring blessing and medicine to our tables. Creator, please help us all today and every day. Nihai. As mentioned, I'm going to sing the welcome song, also known as a paddle song. Before I sing, I would like to let you know that I will be returning at 5:30 here, and I hope you bring your singing voices with you.
Thank you so much, Elder Lolly. That was really beautiful. It's now my great pleasure to invite His Worship, Leonard Krog, up to the stage and to welcome us to his beautiful city. So please join me in welcoming our mayor.
Well, good morning, everyone. I first want to recognize the obvious. We are gathered on the traditional territory of the Snuneymuxw First Nation, and I suspect some of you have happily stayed in the Marriott just across the way, which is largely owned by Snuneymuxw First Nation. And that, for me, symbolizes the importance of this gathering and how things have changed in this wonderful province. I want to welcome all of you here to beautiful Nanaimo. I am so grateful you've chosen once again to have the conference here. I apologize for the state of the streets, but we're a happening place. We're fixing things up, and I'm sorry, as you all know, with construction comes inconvenience, but at the same time, the kind of improvements that are necessary to create prosperity. And that's really, I think, what you're all gathered here for today, is to recognize, as James Carville said so eloquently some years ago, when people weren't listening and he was running Bill Clinton's campaign, it's about the economy, stupid, right? It's about the economy. People want to work, businesses need to prosper, our economy needs to grow, and we need to recognize the incredible resources that we have here in British Columbia, but also the incredibly complex history and the past that goes with being a Canadian and a British Columbian. I want to compliment and thank the organizers for this, putting this gathering together once again. I must tell you, I was grossly offended this morning. I had offered my usual Fidel Castro-like 45-minute oration, and they told me that if I upset the Premier and delayed his speech later this afternoon, I could be in trouble. And as we all know, as a municipal politician, all good things flow from the provincial government. So I've decided to keep it short this morning and just recognize that my importance here is small, but all joking aside, the importance of what you're doing here is incredible. We are in one of the most challenging times in history. I say that, and I'm looking around the room, I can say it with authority because I'm one of the senior people here. Having remembered the Cuban Missile Crisis and various economic ups and downs, we are in challenging times, and we are in challenging times coming to grips with our past as we figure out how to enjoy the benefit of our resources. As Chief Mike Wise, my friend's late mother, Chief Viola Wise, much respected, said, none of us are going anywhere, so we have to make this work. And for me, your gathering here today is about making it work, about trying to figure out how the economy is going to be good for everybody, including, most importantly, the First Nations who have been here since time immemorial. Sister Lolly, and I refer to her as Sister Lolly, not Elder Lolly, because we spend so much time together. Her ancestors have been here for thousands of years, as are the ancestors of many of you. So let us look forward to a better and brighter future. Conferences like this enable the kinds of networking and exchanges to happen that will build a really, truly prosperous British Columbia, notwithstanding what the Mad King may attempt to do to the world economy. We here in British Columbia are going to continue to move forward. Thank you for, again, as I say, choosing Nanaimo. I look forward to welcoming you back again, and I'm surprised that nobody so far has used the obvious remark here this morning. IROC rocks.
Thank you so much, Mayor, and please accept a gift on behalf of the conference. Well, the moment has arrived. Our esteemed chair is in the room, so if you're ready, I would like to invite Dallas Smith to the stage. I just got the thumbs up, so please join me in welcoming Dallas. If you don't know him yet, is the president of the Nanwakolas Council and also founder of this conference. So.
Oh, hold on a sec. There's a lot of you out there. Kayla Kesla. Nugoyam Kikakakli. My name is Dallas Smith. I'm the acting chief of the Nanwakolas Council. I've always acted like chief of the Nanwakolas Council, but it has no rights or title or really any formal affiliation to that. But my name is Dallas Smith. Some of you might be surprised. I'm a little bit nervous today. It doesn't usually happen, but this is just so awesome, and the timing is so right to be able to sit down with a bunch of people over a couple days who just all want to achieve the same thing. You don't all come from the same place. You don't all have the same path to get there, but you all have a certain place you want to get to, and it's just an honor to be able to host people with the mindsets that exist in this room right now. I'll try that again. My name's Dallas Smith. My traditional name is Kikagagli. I'm the acting chief of the Clowites Nation right now. We're still under the hereditary system. My father's been chief since 1982 and is just to a point where he's not traveling as much anymore. So we've been passing the reins over the last couple of years. And so it's been interesting coming to events like this as someone who is a technician. Then I became someone who is recommending decisions to someone who's making decisions now that are going to affect the livelihoods of people going forward. And so again, that's why it's so important for us to keep continuing to have events like this. There's a lot of crap going on in the world right now that Indigenous people are getting caught up in. Some of it by choice, some of it just by where we are. I thought about getting into the remarks from Premier Ford yesterday, but fuck that. I am not going to give that any more room. That there's no room in our lives for that kind of crap. But with that said, there's also some challenges we're facing in this world today. First Nations are starting to achieve things. And while we've worked so very hard to show people that reconciliation isn't at the cost of British Columbia and Canada, it's to the benefit of it, we're still in a position where we have to defend why we're making the decisions we're making and why we're doing the things that we're doing, why we're building the partnerships that we're building, why we're protecting what we need to protect. I didn't think I would come into this conference with both the protection that we've fought so hard for in the Great Bear Rainforest, in other co-management areas, to fish farms, to energy. All of these people, all these things have an impact on all of us on a day-to-day basis. And the fact that it's tough to have that discussion in mainstream society right now just shows the need for First Nations to continue to step forward and bring some peace and calm. That peace and calm that made us exist for 14,000 years in this territory. So many people were just convinced the only way we got here was the land bridge from the last ice age 10,000 years ago. I see my brother Corey, he's married into the Heiltsuk Nation. They've done radiocarbon dating, Western science, that has proven their people have been there for 14,000 years. So science is always catching up to traditional ecological knowledge. And there's those vast sustainability principles that made us a really vibrant society over those years until contact. Contact's happened. It's not going to change. As Mayor Krog, as his worship, I like to call him his worship because I knew him before he was his worship. But as he's saying, all of us are here, none of us are going anywhere. And it's time we start thinking in that fashion. There's no winners or losers in this debate. There's just what we do going forward. And so it's just amazing to be able to start to share some of those principles that were handed down to us from our previous generations to introduce new views of light into the ongoing discussions and problems that we have. So over the next 2 days, we really look forward to bringing you some of the stories about how these partnerships come to be. But the difference about this conference is it's not just about the stats. It's not just about the employment figures. It's about how it all fits and the relationships that need to be built for these projects to go forward in a meaningful fashion. This is the 9th Indigenous Resource Opportunities Conference. I'm kind of reusing some material last night, so I apologize, but I'll get over it. It's so awesome to be here in a room. There's 550 plus delegates registered to be here. The first one we did in Campbell River had 80 people in it. The second one had 100 people in it. So Dan Jepson and I said, we need a bigger conference center. So we came down to Nanaimo, and then we got 90 people when we came down to Nanaimo. We had more people at our fundraising golf tournament than we did for the conference the next day. But we all like golf, I guess. Hey, Corey. But to be here today and have the scope of the discussion change so much, we had to work so hard to find the stories to tell, the actual positive success stories. There's lots of projects that have included First Nations, patronage, window dressing. I got no problem saying that. I've seen them. I've been a part of a few of them. But we've seen the evolvement of these projects to now where we're talking about equity positions. We're talking about how it's been done, not are we trying to achieve that. We're talking about First Nations projects that have major equity positions in the businesses that make all of our communities grow and prosper. But now it's time to continue bringing some of the philosophies and influences that we bring to this discussion, the different point of view that we bring to it that's so important and been missing for so long. So I'd like to ask my nephew, Ernie Puglis, to come up and just help us share some more of our culture. Last night, we had this amazing event where the children, the future, came in and they sang their hearts out. That little girl beside me was just banging that drum and just belting it out so the world could hear her. And looking at the response today, the world did. So we're going to start slowly just introducing principles and things that we've done in our culture that are important for just people to understand a little bit more about the First Nations community. So last night we were opened up. Chris, can you text Ernie for me? Rick might be getting a pinch hit here. Is Jason Wilson in the room too? We'll be okay. This is what we do as First Nations people. Sometimes things happen and you just keep going and you progress and you call an audible at the line. You just do what it takes to get the ball moving. But last night we had the kids come in and that's the future talking about it. But one of the things I would like to do now, I'm going to talk really slow for a minute and give them another minute, is pay honor to some of the people that we've lost along the way. And we're not doing this in a means of let's mourn and be sad about it. Let's be grateful that there's certain people who touched our lives, and let's acknowledge that they were there and they played a role. And now, unfortunately, they've gone on to the other side. Fortunately for their relatives who had missed them, but unfortunately for us who knew some of these people who still had so much to give. And obviously, I think about my nephew, Curtis Wilson, who designed this beautiful Canada flag. When I asked him about it, I said, what drove you to that? I mean, it's awesome, it's beautiful, and it went viral. It just went viral. Every Canada Day, you're going to see 40, 50,000 of these flags across Canada now. And I just said, what is it? And he says, bro, I was just having a real bad day about, my role as elected councillor. He was acting chief of his nation at the time. He was going through some problems, just trying to deal with where he fit in things. And he just realized we all fit. It all fits. And that's really kind of the philosophy that he brought to this. And that's something that I've been trying to carry going forward since I lost him. But not only did we lose Curtis, we lost great leaders like Chief Bill Cramner from the Numgees, who were very instrumental in helping see the need for development, sustainable development, but seeing the need for development. I think of my bro, Nilo Edwards, who we all just lost and celebrated his life. There's numerous. Lenora Humchit tragically lost her this year and her beautiful sister just after she got her MBA. So, there's all these people who just kept taking that next step. And the reason why we're doing this is to show the responsibility and accountability that we all have to continue those steps. Oh, now I lost Chris. This is like an Agatha Christie movie coming up here. So we're going to continue on with our agenda because I really want to do this, but I want to keep going with things because obviously there's time conditions, there's all those sorts of things, and that's the reality of life. There's things that just fit that need to be done. So I'm going to ask Sarah to continue and we'll regroup and do the rest of our program.
Do you want to just sit? Let me sit there. Thank you so much, Dallas. And no pressure. We're here all day. So. But now I guess this is a great opportunity to invite a person I've really admired over the years, and Luke Schauerte is now the CEO of Woodfibre LNG, our patron sponsor. So please join me in welcoming Luke to the stage. He's got a wealth of experience, and it's really awesome to see him in his new role. So.
Good morning, everyone. It's an honor to be here today with all of you and to be on the traditional unceded territories of the Nanwakolas people. and to join this gathering focused on opportunity, partnership, and shared prosperity. Thank you, Delaware Good, for your blessing. It brings us together with clarity and purpose. I'd also like to thank the Mayor and President Smith for their remarks. I'm sure we'll get to the rest of the sharing after, but just incredibly privileged to be here with you all today. I'm really looking forward to the conversations and the important dialogue that will be held over the next few days. I just returned from Ottawa last night. I got in shortly after midnight, where we had incredible conversations about this pivotal moment in the Canadian economy. Because our project is LNG, and we are part of the vision of Canada as an energy superpower, our conversations were focused on responsible, sustainable growth of our resources. But I can tell you that every conversation that was held talked about how Indigenous people and Indigenous economic reconciliation is an absolute foundational component of any of these conversations, any of these economic paths, and any of these developments. At the same time, in Ottawa, there is a debate going on about how we ensure that Indigenous voices and all the progress that's made in consent-based decision-making and Indigenous self-determination is at the forefront of the Prime Minister's and Premier's growth goals to advance the economy. I truly believe the events like this are not only important, but transformational in shaping the future of our economy and what we're leaving for this next 7 generations to come across all sectors and across all lands. I know over the next 2 days there will be discussions about the regulatory regime, about consent-based decision-making, about growth, about partnership, and about being competitive and figuring out how to do it at a pace that allows us to take a hold of this moment. Because I'm in LNG, I'm going to talk a little bit about LNG and the Woodfibre project. Make no mistake, the world wants Canadian LNG. And make no mistake, that Canadian LNG is Indigenous LNG. I'm so proud of the partnership that we have with the Squamish Nation, who are partners in the Woodfibre project, located in Squamish, as well as environmental regulators on the project. Our project is an example of how we can reflect the core values of the Indigenous partnership and people, whether that's in advancing their vision of sustainability, being the world's first net zero LNG, or the bespoke, first of its kind, Gender Safety Committee and Associate Advisory. These are firsts in the world, they're firsts in Canada, and they're setting a bar that's extremely high for everyone to come after. Progress is possible. Progress is powered by partnership, opportunity, and discussions like the one we're having here today. Resources and relationships, those can be our superpower. Those can be nation building. The discussion we're having here today will, of course, be seen as timely, impactful, and will help set the table for the next 10 years of economic development across British Columbia and across Canada. Collaboration from government, Indigenous nations, industry will take us there. And I'll share a little bit about what I was talking about in Ottawa, that there are more spaces, there is more requirement for an Indigenous owned and led projects, increasing the federal Indigenous loan guarantee programs and making sure Indigenous peoples are project owners and project executives as we accelerate projects forward. That is a serious piece of powerful progress, and I'm pleased that Woodfibre is a part of that conversation. I was actually sitting with the Minister of Energy, Hodgins, and he said, Luke, the ambition is that the next time I meet someone in your shoes, they're Squamish Nation people. So there's a vision at the most executive level of this country to say that these roles and these jobs, the foundations we're laying are so that it's the Indigenous people that are here in these roles, owning these projects, driving this forward on behalf of Canada and as nations together. Woodfibre was an old, derelict pulp mill. That was what the actual site was. We not only have recently capped the landfill, we've removed over 4,000 creosote piles, and the fish are back, the bears are back, the deer are back. We've actually spent a significant amount of time with the Squamish Nation to talk about what it was going to take to restore what was a traditional Schauerte site that was used for hunting, fishing, and gathering to something that we can all be proud of. I have to admit, it's turned into a bit of a zoo. There's animals everywhere. But we see the herring back, the salmon back, the killer whales have come in. It's a real privilege to be part of what actually making something right looks like, and to do that with Squamish Nation throughout every step of the way. It's that type of foundation that we can build together, and I'll quote Chief Dale Harry, excuse me. I was sitting with him actually the last 2 days in Ottawa. He said, Luke, it was actually a situation where we couldn't even get a job to sweep the floor at that pulp mill. Today, I'm proud to say that we have over 40 Squamish Nation members working with us. We're spending over $250 million with Nation-owned and Nation-supported or partnered businesses. And just recently, we had 2 graduates from Power Engineering, Emily and John, both Indigenous, and Emily's actually Squamish Nation, so she's taken on the challenge to go through the BCIT Power Engineering program. She's now qualified and achieved that program. She's a guiding light for what's possible when you get together and actually say, these high-paying, technical, lifelong jobs are accessible to everyone. And so we're seeing that foundation laid where it's no longer what Chief Dale talked about. It's about lifelong careers, being a beacon of hope for what the future can hold, and seeing a role like mine being a Squamish Nation member in not many generations to come, but as few as possible. We just had an amazing cultural experience at our site where we celebrated the arrival of our first modules. We participated in traditional dances and acknowledged the milestones of these first modules with an amazing blanket ceremony and our donation from our Squamish Nation artist, Art Harry, who made a wonderful totem. We actually had municipal and district members there. We had Squamish Nation members there. And we've seen and understand that there's more appetite across the provincial and federal government to be a part of this moment in history and talk about what more is possible. I'm proud to be part of demonstrating that Indigenous resource developments and opportunities are real, they're tangible, and they can shape the future for both nations who have been left out of these opportunities within their own territories for too long, as well as for industry, providing certainty for how to do business with your traditional unceded territories and on your terms, in partnership and with a vision of prosperity for everyone. I wish you all the best in the rest of the conference. We have a short video, but before we cut to that, I just want to say I've spent most of my life between sailing the coast in the Navy and the last 20 years in energy. I have spent the last 10 not understanding why Canada had not embraced the LNG industry. We haven't fallen in love as a country with what the possibility is to actually make the world a better place, to displace other sources of fuel that are not as efficient and not anywhere near net zero. And I spent the last decade with Indigenous leaders like Chief Crystal Smith. I'm now having the time and the opportunity to meet more of the Squamish Nation members and their their chair. But we spent a decade not getting an open door. There's a $60 billion industry that happened in the last decade that nobody really knows about. And it's going to be transformational for generations to come because it's been done the right way. So I think it's something we should really be proud of. I think more is possible across every industry. I'm humble as a leader about learning. We don't have all the answers. These types of forums are about those little connections you make from time to talk about an idea that you had that turns into this conference. So I'm thankful to you for going from 80 to 90 to now 500 people. These forums are powerful. And I'll cue the video now and just say thank you for your time today. And I fundamentally believe more is possible with nations. Thank you.
Traveling over here on the hill, I definitely feel a connection to the land. Being Indigenous from the Squamish Nation, we've always been stewards of this area. I think that we're still stewards of the land to this day, and a big part of the pride and the hard work that I conduct day to day is to do with that. This project's more than just construction. It's a step forward in economic reconciliation. There's no other like it out there.
been very meaningful to me to come here to share my history and culture that I know that I carry, and also the gender safety, which is really important. The responses that I get back from people, they're very grateful that we don't hold anything back. We share our feelings and our thoughts and experiences, and they come and thank us for being so open and honest to sharing all of those truths.
Right now, it's exciting because I'm overseeing the power engineer, the operations program. There's 10 that are being trained as power engineers for 2 years, and they will be actually working on